Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Locatz. Welcome to Communications from Home. I just got to check something. I almost forgot to do this. Rats. Turn the right mic on. There we go. Bonjour, everybody. Oh my gosh, got my phone on too. Sometimes I miss my producer. Hi, everybody. Tonight's Tuesday, March 16th, the day after the March of Ides. And you are watching Communications from Home with me, your host, Neshi Locatz. I'm going to turn something on here for us so that we all know who I am. Sometimes, we forget those things. Hello, Lisa Crawford, who just popped into the chat. It's so good to have you here. So good evening, everybody. And thank you so much for joining me this evening. I have to say that today, Tuesday, was kind of it's been a busy past few days, actually. I had a lab appointment this morning. Ladies, you know what I talk about when I say mammogram. even when you take Tylenol or something like that, it's still uncomfortable. But we have to do it, right? And so got mine done. Yay. It's all about that self-care. And I couldn't, once I was in there, it's like, let's just get this done, Yeah. So welcome, everybody. And I'm so glad you're here with me for this evening's show. And it's all about automatic writing. Have you ever done automatic writing? Have you wanted to do automatic writing? Do you even know what automatic writing is? I had turned on to automatic writing back in the late 90s. Honestly, I can't even remember. I probably had talked to somebody or read something, and it had automatic writing in it. And back then, back in the late 90s, there wasn't a whole lot of written information about this stuff. It just wasn't out there. And so chances are, I had a conversation with somebody back then. And those kind of conversations back in the late 90s, I don't know if you guys were a part of any of that, but it was kind of like whispered, right? You weren't really talking about woo-woo stuff out there in the open. If you walk through a crowded restaurant, you would hardly ever hear any conversations about spirituality. You just didn't. And if you did, if you're a part of that conversation, the person who is talking would probably look around to see who is sitting around you before they would start sharing and lean in close and start whispering. And so automatic writing is kind of like that. It was back then anyway. And when I first got started, I thought, does this really work? Can this really be a tool that could be helpful? And it did take a while. It did take a while for me to get comfortable with it and for it to become a helpful tool. And the reason why I even brought this as a topic this evening is because I've been getting back to basics, right? Because I'm recalibrating and going back to basics. Carrying water, chopping wood. That's it. Carrying water, chopping wood. Just getting back to the basics. And for me, automatic writing was one of those basics. And I have to say, my spiritual team was nudging me for quite a while. I actually started automatic writing again because I had taken a long break. I want to say it was almost a year and a half ago. And that journey was kind of, I don't want to look, I don't want to see, don't show that to me again kind of thing from my spiritual team. They were using numerology with me. And at first I kept seeing 333 everywhere. And for me in numerology, 333 means that there's a question needs to be asked. And the answer lies in the next triple numbers that you see. Okay, so if you see 666, that means that you're starting over again, and a 999 means that you have completed whatever that was. Right. So I always wanted to see 999s. so anyway, I kept seeing 333 everywhere, and I finally asked my spiritual team, "What is this? I don't have that many questions to ask these days. So what is this? Why do you keep showing this to me?" Well, it turns out that I have 3 ascended masters on my spiritual team, and they were trying to get my attention. And so, it's gotten to be that whenever I see the 333, I know that they have information that they wanna share with me. And, my team really wanted me to do automatic writing, and I'll explain why in a little bit. So that's why I went back to automatic writing. I had taken probably a good 12 or 15 years break from it. It became, it was a bridge for me, a tool that helped me to trust the information that I was receiving, my intuition, right? And so, once I had that, familiarity and that confidence, I just stopped doing automatic writing until they asked me to start again. So that is why we're sharing about this topic this evening. And so I just want to go in and say hi to everybody here before we get rolling. Lynn's here. Hello, Lynn. Good to have you in the house. I hope you're feeling better. Rochelle says, hello, Neshi, grounded and shared. Thank you, Rochelle, because we're going to cover grounded and sharing again. By the way, this is where I would normally thank Rochelle for sharing and saying, if you wouldn't mind sharing out the live stream, if you wouldn't mind, just to maybe a friend or to your file or your personal page, whatever. Only if you want to. Only if you want to. I'd appreciate it. Jackie's here too. Hello, Jackie. Good to have you in the house, lady. And look who else is here. Isn't automatic writing and spirituality of the devil? No, it's not. It's not. That's kind of a church dogma, or I shouldn't say church. Let's call that a religious dogma. Lisa says, I've recently been dabbling in it. Oh, good. Oh, good. So you kind of know that first beginning stuff. Tabitha's here. Oh my goodness. Good to have you here, Tabitha. She says, still that way in some areas, mine in particular. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Karen's here too. Hi. I'm glad you made it, Karen. I'm so glad you made it. Yeah, carry wood and chop water. That's right. Carry wood and chop water. You know, here in Wisconsin, there was a huge snowstorm over the weekend, right? In Colorado, where Minnie lives, good friend of mine, they had several feet of snow, right? And a heavy, wet snow, she said. Here in Wisconsin, it did get cold. We did get maybe an inch or two. Nothing like it was out west, that's for sure. But cold enough to freeze things again. So I was kind of cutting water, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Deanna's here. Hello. Beautiful day to you too, Deanna. Good to have you here. Judy's here too. Hello back to you, pretty lady. It's good to have you here. Rochelle has the angels. And look who else is in the house. Amy's here. She says, I'm here getting ready for tomorrow. Oh, good. So you're listening while you're getting ready for work tomorrow. All right. So my excursion with automatic writing, I learned so much in those years that I was doing automatic writing. And kind of for those people who are just starting out, I just have a couple of suggestions. Okay. But you're going to have to find what fits you and what feels comfortable to you, because it really is about learning how to trust your intuition and the information that's coming through. Right. So the first thing that you really, really want to do is make sure you're grounded and you're protected. All right. If you don't have your Merkaba activated, you need to make sure that you have your grounding protection field up, because you only want to have conversations with the light, with your spiritual team, and not the interference from some other spirit. Okay. And so if you do that, don't worry. Then that way you've covered your bases on that. And then you ask your team to set up the perimeter for you too. Okay. So that way you can kind of relax into it. Right. I also, in the really, really, really early days, I used earplugs, because there's so much stimuli out there that anything little could draw my attention in another direction, right? And so I tried to find a quiet place and I would put my earbuds in. And these days you can use canceling headphones if you need to, right? So that's what I did. And I had a dedicated notebook journal, whatever you want to do is something that is part of a routine. Part of a routine. Um, you know, and I would suggest to make it as simple as you can. Um, you can get things complicated if you want to, but the more simpler you have it, the chances are that you're going to go back and do it again and again and again because it's so simple, right? Some people would like to, light the candle on their altar. Perfect. Great. Some people, they do their grounding and protecting and then they dive right in. Um, and so, whatever it is for you that makes you and helps you to feel safe, protected, and grounded, so that way you can relax into it and put your anxiety, your anxiety and your worry off to the side, right? And here's something else that I used early on, and that was is to do that part of being in the vibration of love. So I was using Grandmother Earth and Grandfather Sky, right, and the love that they have for you, for us, and getting into that vibration of love. Yeah, and so that way I felt like I could move my personality, this personality, the ego, have it step to the side, right? So that it wasn't trying to control things, right? Because that's the human part of us. That's the human part of us. And so sometimes it takes a little practice. It does. And that's okay. That's okay. When you're first starting out, that's perfect. Is to feel the difference when the ego or your conscious self is present and bringing in information versus your soul, when your spiritual team is bringing you the information, right? And only you can tell that, honestly. Only you can tell that. I can talk about it. I can kind of describe what it feels like to me, but until you feel it for yourself, you don't really know the indications for yourself, right? Because there's going to be a part of you that says, how can you tell the difference if it's yourself or if it's spirit? And you're going to be questioning that, and that's normal. That is part of the journey. Part of the journey. It's called discerning, and that's why we need to get back to basics, is so that we can remember what it's like to have our soul, our spiritual team, bringing us information. Right? Okay. Let's see. I'm just checking to see, make sure you guys, I'm caught up with you, with your comments. I'm going to take a drink of water. So why? Why even use automatic writing? Well, it's a tool. Like anything else, you're either drawn to it or you're not. And if you are, that's just another tool for you to be able to be consciously a part of your soul growth. That is a active participation in the soul growth. Okay, getting that information. And here's the difference. For me, meditation, which I'm also doing every day, meditation is sitting in the quietness and in the stillness and listening, receiving, listening. Yeah. Whereas automatic writing, you're receiving and you're listening, actively listening and writing. So you're engaging two parts of your brain. Okay. So you're really being active in it. And there's balance to that for sure. There's balance to that. And that's why I think sometimes it can get it to be a challenge if you make it too complicated, because that means that you're really much more in your head than you are allowing your soul and spirit to step forward and communicate directly to you, to your conscious self, right? I think that's probably one of the reasons why that challenge is there, is because that way, it's in that space that we begin to question: was that spirit or was that me? Was that spirit or was that me? Yeah. All right. So we're using more parts of our active self in automatic writing. That's why I suggested that you do it in a quiet place, or you use earbuds, right, or something to block the sound from the stimuli that's around you. Um, yeah, and automatic writing. And I was going to show you. This is my journal. I've had this for a really long time. I want to say probably 25 years, something like that. It's leather, and the paper in there, is replaceable. You fill it up, and you can get another one, stick another one in there. And I always date the front of it. Journaling is a bit different than automatic writing. Okay, it's a bit different. Sometimes your journaling can become automatic writing. Have anybody had that happen? You're journaling something and you go back to read it and it's like, I don't remember writing that, right? There's a piece in there that could be a channeled piece. And so, so sometimes journaling can actually turn into automatic writing. So it's having something dedicated. Here is my automatic writing dedication. It's a 3-ring binder. It's got loose leaf paper in it. I have my special pen. I have a nice pen to journal with. And, well, it's a separate pen. This is the one I use for automatic writing. I have a different one for journaling. I know I said keep it simple, and here I have 2 different pens. I just don't grab any pen. But I use loose leaf paper so that there's occasions where I've actually shared with you guys some of the automatic writing that I've received. And what I do then is I take it out and I turn it upside down. So I know that that's the one that I use. I know I could probably use something else with it, but that's just simpler for me. Let's see. And that way, I can also take the 3-ring binder with me outside, or I can take it with me just about anywhere, and I have something decent to write on. Yeah. So, what I really would like to impress is to keep it simple, and the automatic writing helps us to remember how to be an active listener, to really be listening to your spiritual team as they're relaying to you information. It's active listening. The other thing that you really, really want to do is not to edit as you're receiving and writing. In other words, you may misspell words. It might be an incomplete sentence. It's okay. It's all right for it to be misspelled. It's okay for it not to have punctuation. Because you are your conscious or your ego self has stepped to the side a bit, that you can it's just a complete flow. And so you can always go back if you want to put the punctuation in, because it's easier to read, but it's not necessary. The information is much more important than spelling and punctuation. I know. All English teachers everywhere are just probably pulling their hair out when I do that one sentence. So, so you want to be able to relax into it, right? And eventually, what happens is that you become confident in the information that you're receiving, and then you can actually then get to work. Yeah, you can actually. Here's what I do: is that when I have a question, for instance, I see the 333. right? So I know that they have a message for me. So I will write it out. Is like, I saw the 333 today or yesterday. So I know that my ascended masters want my attention. So what is it that you'd like to share with me? Or I have a specific question, right? And then I write down the specific question. For those of you who has ever listened to Ed Langdon and his show, right? Or attended one of his classes or readings with his guides, right? What do they say? They say that the more you are specific with your question, the more specific you will have an answer. And so that is so true. That is so true. So in your automatic writing, write down the specific question, write it down, and then wait. Wait for the information to come through. All right. Just taking a look at my notes. Okay. Rob is saying not sober, but that's called poetry. Yeah. There's a lot of writers that were inebriated in one way or another when they wrote, that's for sure. All right. And Rob says, He says, I use my fancy pen for ritual work. The pen I gave you? Yeah. I'm hoping that's the one you're referring to. And it's true. When you have a dedicated, shoot. I thought I had my, you're going to hear my printer go off in just a second. It's running out of juice. I thought I had my computer plugged in. Hopefully it's charging now. It's not. Great. I don't know why it's not charging. And bring it over to the other side. Maybe that'll work. Sorry, but if I don't plug in, I'm going to lose you guys. We don't want that. Yeah, this is the part. I thought I had everything plugged in. Let's see. I don't know why that port's not working. It's not charging. Well, that's weird. Okay, got to change something up here. Well, it says it's not charging. I don't know why. Huh. That's weird. I've never had that happen. All right. Oh, there it goes. I'm not going to touch it. Whew. I didn't want to lose you guys. All right. So, and Lisa is saying, I journal almost every day and it turns into a conversation that I start asking questions to get answers and try to stay in the flow. That's automatic writing, Lisa. That's so good. Karen said, I've journaled and had a message come in that was not my intentional thoughts. It was a little jarring at first when I went back and read it, but then it felt like a gift. Yes. Yes. I can remember, Karen, the first time I did that. You know, it was in the early 2000s, and I was actually at my state job on my lunch break, and I decided I was going to take part of my lunch break and try that automatic writing thing again. And yeah, I went back and read it and thought, holy smokes. It was all about, do I stay here or do I find a different job or how do I leave? That kind of stuff. Lisa says, I noticed that they get to the point and when it's done, it's done. Yes. Absolutely. There's no small talk, right? There's no small talk. Tabitha said, I've got fancy pens I've collected and never used. Maybe I'll put them to use for this stuff. Hey, dedicate a pen to it and it makes a difference. Although, really, Tabitha, keep it really, really simple, really simple. Because otherwise, the chances of you keeping up with it will be pretty slim because then you're going to think, oh, I got to do that again. It feels like work, and it shouldn't feel like work. And here's the thing is that when you first start out, I would suggest just doing it for 10 or 15 minutes. I know. If you're in the flow, go with it. Go with it. But if you're just starting out and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to try this automatic writing, get grounded, right? Get protected. Call in your team, the whole team. Call them all in, and have your question that you want to ask them. More than what do you want to tell me, right? And write down the question, date it, write down the question, and if you want, you can do the be in that love vibration, yeah, and then get started. Just write down everything that you hear, even though you feel like, oh, this is coming from me. Write it down anyway, because you're going to get into a certain rhythm and a certain flow, and then eventually it will start sounding more and more like your team. That is the pen. Yes, I know. I gave the hosts and writers and my executive team a nice pen. Was that 2 years ago? I think that was, because I did a show about handwriting and why it's important to still use longhand writing, where you actually have a pen or paper, pencil, pen or paper. And because there's a certain connection in our brain, and there's that connection of, especially with the automatic writing, if you think of it kind of like the pen or a pencil being a tool, a space clearing tool. Let's say, if you've ever done a space clearing, whether you're using a smudge stick or a drum or a rattle, the tool, right? Spirit works through you, the creator works through you, picking up your medicine, your strengths, flowing down through you, down through the tool, and picking up the medicine of whatever tool that you're using to do the clearing, right? So you're working it's co-creative, right? It's the same concept. Same concept is that you're having spirit work through you, you being the conduit, and your pen is your tool, or your pencil is your tool. You can even use colored pencils and pens if you want to. But like I said, keep it simple. There's a lot of automatic writers that I know, Polly Jill being one of them, that uses different colored pens for different spiritual team members that's working with her, which is great. It's fine, but you don't need that. You don't need that. You just need to be able to designate a time for you to be in the quiet and to connect with your spiritual team and write down your questions and begin. Yeah. Deanna says, love this enlightening, informative type of writing. I do too. I'm going to read you part of one. And I didn't know which one to do, so I just flipped open my three-ring binder and whatever day that was on, and I'll share that with you. So here's another piece. I was finishing up teaching a one-on-one class this past weekend. It's a class that I started, I think it was last August or September, early September. And we had to postpone finishing it up because, I was taking care of mom, right? And so in January, we rescheduled, and it just happened to be last weekend. And my student, she was sharing with me about her morning pages, MOR morning pages, and that how much she enjoys it. And she's been doing her morning pages for a year now. And so we were talking about that. And I asked her if she ever feels like, when she looks back at her morning pages, if parts or if all of the writing, does she remember actually writing it? And she goes, sometimes I read back and I don't remember writing that. And the information that's sitting there is like, is one of those light bulb moments, or that aha, you know, um, sometimes in big ways and sometimes in really small ways, helping her connect the dots with things. And I said, that sounds to me more like, automatic writing. And so those of you that have followed the Artist's Way, that's what that's from, is the morning pages. The Artist's Way, it's so that you can, you're supposed to write 3 pages every morning of everything and anything that you see, and write about it, right, in 3 pages. And so some of you, I'm sure, have followed the Artist's Way, and so you know what I'm talking about, and your own experience with writing your morning pages. Yeah, and to me, that is a form of meditation as well. That active participation, and another kind of meditation. Um, maybe I shouldn't even call it meditation. It's an active connectedness with your team, with your spiritual team. Yeah. All right. So I don't know. I have, for those of you who need a little, assistance, a jump start with morning pages, I do have artists. And I have their link, so you can go check it out if you want to. But if you're like me and you hear about automatic writing, you're going, what is that? And you want to test it out for yourself in your own time, in your own way. Really, the only thing you really have to do is be in a quiet place, be grounded, balanced, protected, and ready with your question, right? Yeah. And so, I just want to make sure here's another piece. Writing with a pen or pencil, and not the keyboard. I know there's some people who use a keyboard, and if they find it, comfortable, and, they trust in it, right, that process, great. For those of us that are, familiar with EMFs and, what it does to our brain and to our body, stepping away from the computer might be a good thing to do this, because that way it's not in your mental mind that, you're receiving, that low frequency, electricity from your computer, okay, and interfering with that connection with your team. And it's just one more way to remove a variable where you're going to be questioning, is this true? Is this correct? Am I really receiving this? Right? So your mental mind, it's kind of like a check mark. We took care of that. That's why we're using, paper, pen, and pencil. Yeah. Okay. Um, I'm just making sure I hit all the points that I wanted to with this. So when you're first starting, you want to pick a time or a day where you're not going to be rushed. Okay, because, then you're going to feel that pressure, almost that performance anxiety, right? It's got to happen. It's got to happen. So if you use 10 or 15 minutes to begin with, and you're in a quiet place, and you're not going to be interrupted, right? Um, that relieves some of the pressure from making it happen. And you can kind of relax into it. It may take you a few attempts, a few practice sessions. But if you keep it up, more and more you will be moving your ego out of the way and allowing that space for your team to come in to answer you. Yeah. Rob is saying, if you live in the city or near a cell tower, you'll have the same EMF. Yeah. The computer, the screen is the ELF, the low frequency, and yeah, and then plug it in, and then you have all the EMF coming from it, right? Yeah. So I don't know. That was just something that in my early days, it was one of the things that I chose to remove as a block in my mental mind that something was going to occur. So I thought I'd share that one. Okay, the Artist's Way. And I was going to share with you one of mine. Oh my goodness. And I didn't read through this, so we'll read it together. This is from 2019. 2019, and it's dated July 17th, 2019. Like I said, I haven't read this one in a long time, so we'll read it together. We'll be surprised together. All right, so it says, this is how I always begin it. I date it, I put the day and then the date. And if I know that I've seen the 333, then I also put Ascended Masters on the top. And I do my unity breath, which is sending love to Grandmother Earth and Grandfather Sky and being in that love vibration, right? And I always call to my team, my entire team. Now, even though I am addressing the 3 Ascended Masters, I call everybody in to come, please, to be helpful, right? And what I always start with is begin writing. That's what they tell me, begin writing. And I wrote, I saw the 333, and I know you have a message for me. Please share it now. And it says, begin writing. We are here with you, watching and suggesting. Plan on being busy. You have much to do to bring forth the most important piece of your work. Laying the fundamental supports, like building a structure, a building, you need strong foundational supports. You can be very direct. It is a gift. One of your many gifts. Remember how to be direct with compassion and kindness. Be direct from your heart. It takes the sharp edges out of your directness. You are aware of your surroundings. You see the signs many times. Enhance this gift of seeing. See the physical signs. Also see and sense the non-physical signs. This here's a word I misspelled. This includes your feelings and emotions. You've asked to have your channels open at an optimal amount to use your gifts 100%. This means aligning your channels with frequency to your gifts and your gifts to your channels. How you do this is to be clear on what you want and want to create from your heart and mind. You have the tools already. You know how this process works. Now work the process. Any delays of creating and bringing into your physical life is your delay in working the process. Ouch. You can state and think your intention, your desire to manifest, but this is not enough. We must feel the fire of your emotions. We assist you to create the alchemy of the fire, the spark, to ignite the creative process and spirit at the dimension of the platonic solids. You already know this. We are reminding you to use the process. If you want to bring your wishes and desires to the physical life, now is the time to use what you know. It's a tool, just like your other sacred tools, your drum and your feathers. We are standing by, poised to begin moving energy to assist you in creating. This is what you call being productive and thriving rather than being passive and existing. As always, we love you. We are in love with you. Know we are about a thought, a breath away. Call on us for any of your needs. Signed, the 333. So I must have been worried about something, right? I must have been thought, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? And they were just reminding me that I know the process. Do the process. And in other words, there's also walk your talk in there, And so, and they know about my directness. Some people would say bluntness, and some of my family would be saying um, sometimes very intense directness. But that was dated July 17th, 2019. 2019. So when I look back on that too, that was almost not a little bit over a year out from when both Paul's mom and my mom were going to start their final leg of their journey, right, to back home. And so I had to put in place the foundations in order to carry the energy that I wasn't able to carry because I was with them. Right. And so I had to bring on more executive teams. I added Julie, I added Rob, right? Um, Deb came on board, and I also found somebody to do editing video and audio for me. And so, they were telling me to get prepared, and I can create this. I can create it, the foundations. So that's why they kept showing me 333. Lisa says, they always end in love and light, little one. It's very heartwarming. Isn't it, though? I know, because they always end mine. As always, we love you. We are in love with you. 333. They always, and they may, add a little bit something else in there sometimes, but they're always talking about how much they love me. And the first time they did that, it brought me to tears. Let's see. That was a really long one. I want to see. Okay, so I started doing automatic writing again April 8th, 2019. And at the end of that first one, they ended with, "Know we are with you. Lean on us to remember how to expand. We are with you in every breath and every step. Your new number is 333. See it and know it is us, your ascended masters loving you." And that after I went back and read it, tears in my eyes, because I could feel it. I could still feel it. Their closeness, and the reason for them helping is because they do love me, and they as a soul, right, and wanting me to experience what I came here to experience. And so, yeah, it is. It can be it should be a very loving and positive experience. If it's not, and your automatic grading is something that turns into berating you, or it's a negative experience, then you need more protection, because you're being interfered with. And so you can clear it out, get grounded, get your protection up, and ask your spiritual team to come in and form that protective circle around you. Right? Yeah, because your messages through the automatic writing should always be positive and loving. Even though they might be delivering you a message to say, come on, get with it. You know the process. Deanna says, are Sagittarians known for being tactless, truth-telling? We're known as being direct because, we have that. We're the archer. And so that arrow goes very straight and sometimes very pointed. Ungrounded, unbalanced Sagittarians can be tactless. They can actually be mean, cruel in their words because it's so direct. They don't. In my 20s, when I was in my 20s, being honest, right? My honesty, that what I thought was being truthful and honest, sometimes was very hurtful. It was. And I didn't understand, it's like, what? You asked and I told you, so what's the deal? But, I was young and a triple Sagittarian besides. And so I had to learn how to manage all that fire and to not to hide myself, but to be able to deliver the message with as much kindness and directness as I possibly could. And sometimes I don't say anything at all because I can't find a way to say it kindly. And so I just maybe sleep on it and see if there's a way to be able to deliver that in a kinder way, right? And there's times I'm human. There's times where I misstep, and say something pretty direct. Yeah. And I know when I do because the look on the person's face, is, yeah. So I try, but it's true. It's true, Deanna, that Sagittarians are known for that. And if they're ungrounded, if they're immature, it can be even worse. The loving Gibbs head slap. Yeah, exactly. It is. Rob says, my dad is very direct and pretty handy with a bow and arrow. Ah, so there you go. You're welcome, Deanna. You're welcome. Yeah, and so I encourage you, if you haven't tried automatic writing and you kind of wonder if that's something for you, the only way you're going to find out is to try it. With those caveats. All right, be grounded, be balanced. Your chakras are balanced, you're grounded, and you're protected. And you have a question to ask, and call in your entire team and write down the question, and then wait for the reply. And write down everything. Even though you think that it's coming from you, write down everything that's coming through your mind. Just write it down. And eventually, it's going to evolve into something of a conversation between you and your spiritual team. Yeah. And Lisa's saying, my mom's writing, the words all joined, no separation. Mine are separated but misspelled, and it may take a little bit to make out what the word is. Yes. And sometimes my handwriting gets a little sloppy, so add that to the mix. And I'm going, what? Oh, that word's included. Yeah. And so it might take a little bit to decipher. But that's okay. That's all right. All right, so I'm going to put this back in. Turn it upside. I turn the ones that I've used upside down, so if I have to go back and do something with it, I can find it relatively easy. I know I could probably use something else too, but that was the first thing that came to me. Okay, there's a couple other things I want to share with you that's not automatic writing, but something that I really wanted to to share because I think it's pretty interesting and relevant to Native Americans that I want to share with everybody because it affects everyone. But what happened a few days ago was herstory making, right? So on Monday there was a vote, 51-40 vote to confirm Deb Haaland as Secretary, Department of Interior. This was making her the first Native American to run for the agency and serve in the U.S. cabinet. Okay. First Native American woman, actually. Haaland will lead the agency from around 60,000 staffers tasked with overseeing millions of acres of federal land. The DOI, a Department of Interior, plays a significant role in handling U.S. relations with indigenous groups, overseeing the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and provides services to 574 federally recognized tribes. So advocates for indigenous people across Indian country celebrated Holland's new role. It's the first time we've actually had a Native American in the BIA, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, that's actually dealing with other Native Americans. It's huge. Okay, so she quote, "This is all our country. This is our mother. You've heard the earth referred to as Mother Earth," end quote. Haaland told Congress during her confirmation hearing, "It's difficult," quote, "to not feel obligated to protect this land and feel that every indigenous person in this country understands that," end quote. Haaland became the representative of the 1st District of New Mexico in 2019, making her the first woman Native American elected to Congress. It's huge. It's really big. And I wanted to share that with you because, chances are some of you, it wouldn't hit your radar, right? You would have never even known about it. Our relationship to the government is lacking in trust. And so to have somebody in a very high office like that means a great deal. It really does. And so, there's lots of hope now out there, more hope than we've had in a while. So I wanted to share that with you. And I think I also shared it to my my personal profile too. So if you wanted to see the article that has those quotes in it, you just go to my personal profile and you can click on it. And I wanted to share with you about the next Communications from Home, which is next Tuesday night, Tuesday the 23rd. We're going to be sharing about using dreams as a part of the recalibration journey. So we've had automatic writing tonight, and so tomorrow, next week is all going to be about using dream work as a part of the recalibration. And I've got some things that I want to share with you guys about that. I know, it's good stuff, isn't it? All right. Lisa's saying congratulations. I know, congratulations to Senator Haaland. That's for sure. Oh, great. And Tabitha is saying, I saw that. So exciting. It is. Jackie's saying, made my heart sing. Me too. Me too. And Rob says, I'm cynical enough to ask, will it change anything? Will the government change her more than she changes it? Well, that remains to be seen. That's for sure. But there's some hope there. There is. Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. And so my hope is that those sacred lands, she was actually at Standing Rock in 2016 for the water protection. She actually was there for quite some time. And so she's been on the ground. She hasn't been living in Washington, D.C. As a native, removed from her roots. She's actually been, yeah, and she's Navajo, so Dene. Yay. Deanna's saying, will she succeed beyond expectations in love and light? Exactly. Exactly. Let's hold some space for her, right? And watch. That's all we can really do. And whenever there's important, she's actually had some bills on the floor, and I think there's one that was pretty telling. I don't remember which one that was. It was actually bipartisan. So, and I don't follow politics all that much because I tell you what, you can see such divisiveness, can't you, in the separateness? And so, that's just not me. And so, um, I like kind of watch it from a distance. And so when there's good things happening, I cheer it on. Yeah. Yeah. And Lisa's saying people being put in place where needed. Exactly. Exactly. Oh my goodness, Stephanie is here. Stephanie. Okay, shucks, I'm catching the tail end. I'll need to catch the replay. Yeah, please do. Automatic writing, because I know that Stephanie does automatic writing too. Okay, so next week is about using our dreams as part of our recalibration journey. That's what I'm doing. And so I'm going to be sharing with you some things that I've used in dream work in the past, going back to basics, and have done it again. So, yeah. And for those of you that have been asking how Paul and I are doing, we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good. We finished up our grief counseling. We're both finishing up reading the book. And we're doing pretty good, actually. There's moments still. There's moments, and those moments may happen for quite some time. I don't know, but we're doing okay. We're doing a lot better than what we were in December and January. That's for sure. You're welcome, Lisa. You're very welcome. And Stephanie is saying this episode is going in my Zettelcast. Oh, yay! Good for you. Yes, thank you so much for that, Stephanie. Now, we just have a couple more minutes. Some of the things that you might be seeing happening around Star Nations. Well, a lot of things are on hiatus, right? They're placed on pause. But there's some things that still need to get done because we may be on simmer, but I still have to keep the heat under there a little bit. So you're still going to see postings done. I just put a whole batch of quotes in today that I went through and found. I hope you guys like them. They should be starting to show up, I think, tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. Anyway, you'll be seeing some of those, and you'll be seeing some information about the past issues of Star Nations magazine. The March issue that we just published on March 10th will be the last issue published for a few months. We're going to probably go through at least most of the summer without an issue published, but the magazine is still there. You still have past issues, and there's lots of good information in those past issues that we're going to share with you guys in those promotional posts. Okay, so watch for those. Yeah, and I think that's about it. So thank you so much for being with me this evening for Communications from Home, and I'll see you next week on Tuesday, March 23rd. And with that, Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.